In 1913, a young Jewish man was falsely accused and convicted of murdering a 13-year-old girl in Atlanta, Georgia. This controversial case, known today as the first trial of the century, was later adapted into a Tony Award-winning musical entitled Parade. While the original production endured only a brief run at the Lincoln Center in New York, Parade was recently given new life here on the main stage at the University of Central Florida's Conservatory Theater.
It's an incredibly powerful story. It is both a look back in history of America, but yet it is also very relevant today. It's a very progressive piece. It's representative of a very moving and powerful piece of contemporary musical theater. And I think that it also tells a very compelling and relatively unknown story by the majority of people, but a very necessary story to be told. Parade is really about the best of America, but unfortunately it also is about the worst of America. And not only just America, but the best and worst of humanity. When we look at the production, first and foremost, we are telling a story through acting, through dialogue, and through music. The show is not a heavy dance musical, but there is a lot of movement that comes through in the story, in the show. At UCF Conservatory Theater, we have musical theater majors, we have acting majors, and we have theater majors that are not necessarily of a performance major nature. So we have a wide pool of talent that we draw upon. So my job was to work with the individuals. If they worked on solos, sometimes they would do duets, sometimes trios, sometimes quintets, so forth, small ensemble, 8 people, all the way up to the entire cast, the entire ensemble, upwards of 30 individuals. I was the vocal director. It was my job to really inspire the spirit of what is going on in that moment. And of course, this is done very, very closely with the director, in this case, Kate Ingram.
That is where I feel like you're getting tonight, that it's just automatic. It has to be automatic. That rhythm. I see progress. That's what I want. You got all the time in the world to polish this up. So wait till after your first line, and then you can get to work because somebody else is singing.
Sometimes I receive clarification from her, or I'll share something with her, and she'll say, "Oh wow, I think that's great. Go with that." So we had a very, very collaborative experience.
Everybody, mourners, funeral mourners. He says he's burning in the raging fires of hell forevermore. I want everybody loud.
It really begins in that rehearsal process where everything is very, very specific and very individual, looking at piece by piece by piece. And that's why a story such as this is so appropriate, because it's really about telling the story. That is really encompassed through the level of acting, whether it's through traditional spoken dialogue, or through music, or through dance. So everyone is at a little bit of different place. Sometimes there might be an actor in the show who maybe doesn't consider themselves a singer, or someone who is developing in their process and maybe hasn't taken on a role that is quite this dramatic, or maybe it's their first step into having a lead role. All of the above were all part of the members of the cast in the show.
My name is Yaniv Zarif, and I am a third-year BFA music theater major here at UCF. I'm also a standing junior in the school, and I'm playing the role of Leo Frank. Parade premiered in 1998 Music and lyrics by Jason Robert Brown and book by Alfred Urey. It won the Tony for Best Score and nominated for a whole bunch of other Tonys. And it's going really well, and I think we're doing a great job with it. It took place in 1913 in Atlanta and Marietta, Georgia, and it's about the superintendent of the pencil factory, Leo Frank, who is accused and convicted of raping and murdering little Mary Fagan from Marietta, who was 13 years old at the time. And it's called Parade because the day of the murder took place on April 26th, which is National Confederate Memorial Day. And the Confederate Memorial Day Parade was that day, and she hadn't made it to the parade.
Mr. Frank?
What is it?
Happy Memorial Day.
Being a music theater student, we are trained in classes that are always consisting of acting, voice, and dancing. There was no dance call, which I'm very happy about because I'm not a wonderful dancer.
It's tap dancing class, not tap stare at my feet, please God, let me do the right steps class. I want to see you start performing, okay? So start getting into that mindset right now.
For this role specifically, in class we don't work on auditions for the school season, but we do work on pieces for our characterization and owning in our characters. And there's always constantly help offered to you by the faculty of this program.
Other group.
Oh, you mean the change?
Yeah, the transition part. Now and then.
In voice classes, our teacher, Anita Ensley, she picks repertoire for us and guided me to the right place with picking pieces and with showing off exactly what I needed to show of myself.
Damn past and cash it in. Cash the whole thing in.
I find lots of guidance in my faculty, especially Jim Brown.
This is very expository. There's a lot of exposition in it. So you really have to be giving them information in addition to a beautiful, great song. So along with the good singing, we have to be very articulate as far as the information and the imagery that we're putting out.
I went to Jim Brown a lot to talk about the role and to talk about the process and what I needed to do to show them that I could play this role.
Leo, this actually goes into your vamp,
Okay.
so just kind of hop in where as you're comfortable hopping in. Ready? 1, 2, ready, and.
I go to bed at night, hoping when I wake, this will all be gone like it was just a dream, and I'll be home again, back again in Brooklyn. Back with people who look like I do, and talk like I do, and think like I do. But then the sun rises in Atlanta again. These people make me tense.
Yaniv is a wonderful young man. He did a beautiful job with Leo Frank, and I really believed in him from the very beginning.
These people make no sense. They talk and I just stare and shut my mouth.
I encouraged him actually to reach out and go for that part of Leo Frank, because it's a very, very demanding role and could be rather intimidating.
Stop. Leo, you've got to be 10 times louder. Governor Slaton just wiped the floor with you, okay? You've got to be so much louder, they didn't know when to come in.
He really went for it. He did beautiful in his auditions and callbacks, and obviously landed the part and continued to really work and develop.
Well, I'm sorry, Lucille, but I feel what I feel, and this place is surreal. So how can I call this home?
Very nice, Leo. I got every word. How does it feel? What's the difference in the feeling when you deliver it that way, when it's that specific?
You're really telling a story more.
Exactly.
It's really wonderful to have Jim's input on these songs, because a lot of times we get to work with just Kate, and she's very musical, but Jim pays special attention to the music, so it's really refreshing to get kind of a music rehearsal.
Hi, honey.
Hi, honey.
How are you today?
Not bad.
I really think the story between Lucille and Leo ultimately is about love and finding love in a very difficult and hateful situation and being able to maintain it and actually having your love flourish.
Lucille, please, don't be such a mashugana.
Why do you have to use words like that?
Because they're Jewish and I'm Jewish,
Well,
Lucille.
I am Jewish too, but that does not mean that I have to speak in a foreign language.
For the life of me,
Leo and Lucille really loved each other. They just missed each other. When she would come visit him in the cell, bring him his food, and they couldn't grasp each other's circumstances. They wouldn't connect with each other.
Are you out of your mind? Do you have eyes in your head, Lucille? Look at me! I've never committed an illegal act in all of my life, and here I am trapped in a jailhouse!
During the beginning of all this hubbub, when he was in jail and the newspapers were coming out with all these stories, she was actually criticized for not being at his side. But she was there. She actually ended up writing a lot of letters to newspapers, and she was there throughout his entire ordeal. What I thought was very interesting in Lucille's journey through Parade is that she grows. Her journey is incredibly moving, and it's even more so because it's true.
Okay, Lucille, let's take it from the top. So right at, it's our measure A, Jason, and whatever you're comfortable with, dialogue or just interacting visually with him, whatever works best for you at this point, okay?
Okay.
And 1, 2, ready, go.
Of course, Leo. You're right. Like you always are. Do it alone, Leo. Do it all by yourself. You're the only one who matters after all. Do it alone, Leo. Why should that bother me? I'm just good for standing in the shadows, staring at the walls, Leo. Fight them strong and proud. Bring your voices loud, loud enough to make it through that door. What on earth have I been worried for? Soon I won't be worried anymore.
Lucille, how can you say something like that?
Oh, do it alone.
She was absolutely lovely as Lucille. She really conveyed the physical presence of Lucille. She's a fine actress, and she has a gorgeous voice. I think she and Yaniv, because they are classmates and they've known each other for a couple of years and they've shared their journey of growth as artists and as actors, I think that provided a really solid foundation for the chemistry and trust that they needed to build between the two. And I think they did an outstanding job.
I can bring you home, Leo. We can bring you home, Leo. I want you to come home.
Very nice, very nice. Okay, great. Let's see. What's next?
Absolutely, Leo Frank did not get a fair trial, so obviously there was a bias. It's scary to think that this potentially could happen again. You hear all the time on the news about injustice in the court and injustice by the police system, especially in regards to African Americans. What made this story so interesting was that they chose to persecute a Jew. The words of an African American man were the words that put Leo Frank in jail.
My character is John Slaton, the governor of Georgia, someone who's going to stand up for the justice for every citizen in this country. This is my first year in the BFA program, and I couldn't have been luckier with this role. I feel like everything really came together because I know that my performance, which would not have been even the quality that it was, and I did a great deal of work on it, had I not been learning the things I've been learning in my classes here.
Did Mr. Dorsey coach you on what to say?
Hold. Everybody, but this specifically for the governor right now, everybody ask the questions, all right? Did Mr. Dorsey coach you on what to say? I'm not giving you a line reading. There's a lot of ways to ask a question.
What I really adored about Kate's direction is that she's a real actor's director. She wants to see what you bring to the table, what you bring to work with you.
Besides, you can say whatever you want, all right?
I can't tell you how grateful I am to be able to work with someone who is so fostering to the spontaneous, because that's where I think ultimately it helped my performance.
His office. Did Mr. Dorsey coach you on what to say?
That was much better. Nothing less, thank you.
Know who they're gonna blame.
The newspaper recorded him as having a uniformly brilliant career. He was an exceptional lawyer. He had represented a lot of the huge corporations of Atlanta. Ultimately, he is Leo's last hope.
No more dancing! You have to reopen that case!
You'll have to excuse me now.
Don't you have at least one small question about the way my husband's trial was conducted?
Your husband was tried and found guilty by a jury of his peers, ma'am. That's good enough for me.
Well, then you are either a fool or a coward!
The letter to the governor, which was written by the judge, was extremely important because he wrote it on his deathbed. And so it was like this letter from the grave, this dying wish that the governor do something about this case and conduct his own investigation, which he did. Governor Slaton conducted a series of congressional hearings, and this is where he saw there was considerable evidence against Jim Conley, the African-American, who was the other main suspect, specifically in the play, who was believed to have murdered Mary Fagan. The governor has to be a voice for the voiceless, since he is the governor-elect, the man they elected, the only one who is able to save Leo's life. I'm proud to have played a character who ultimately did what he saw was right in his eyes, and he was persecuted for it. He and his wife had to run for their lives.
Leo Frank is no longer a prisoner in the Fulton Tower, and I have decided to commute his sentence from the death penalty to imprisonment for life.
Israel, Adonai, Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kavod Malchuso Leolam Vaed. I will never understand what I did to deserve you.
Sometimes the musical theater, through story and song and dance, is really the most powerful way of telling a story. Parade is not always an easy story to tell, but it's a very important story. And it's one of the furthest, most developments that we have of our American musical theater.
Things you did for me. Just look at you. How could I not be in love with you?
As an actor, one of my biggest problems was learning how to grow into a man. And through this process, I've grown completely into a man on that stage. I felt more comfortable playing a 30-year-old and learning how to have a wife. Looking at the ring helps me remember why I'm here and why this means so much to me and why Lucille means so much to me. And looking back on the entire journey, what leaps we've made together as a team. The growth was, an experience that I want to hold with me forever.
I never knew anything at all.
I will never understand how old.
Everything clicked. That's where we connected. I understood him and he understood me. She loves him. And I think, as sad as the ending is, I think it's the most beautiful part of the show. He's gone, but they've connected. Her strength has become a huge part of me. Her loss has become a huge part of me, and I won't ever let that go.
It means I made a vow for better, and two is better than one. It means the journey ahead might get shorter. I might reach the end of my road, but suddenly loud as a mortar, there is hope. Finally,
Yes, Leo, there is hope.
this isn't No, there's still a million things that you and I can do, and I would never have.
Lucille and Leo Frank, they're somewhat at odds at the beginning, and through the course of the story, we see how they come together. That's obviously an example of the best of humanity.
You shouldn't underestimate Lucille and Leo Frank, 'cause this is not over yet.
Although the case was never fully resolved, after new evidence surfaced, Leo Frank was posthumously pardoned for the murder of Mary Fagan. This came nearly 70 years after his tragic lynching. For more information on Parade or other productions at the UCF Conservatory Theater, visit our website at www.theater.ucf.edu. For the gallery, I'm Bea Boyd. We'll see you next time.